Atul here from Inside Scan. In today's video I'll be discussing what resources I'd recommend for interview preparation, as well as this book here, which I'll do a full video on. And for those who don't know me, my name is Atul. I'm a first year medical student from Northern Ireland studying at King's College London. So basically today's video will be part of my series on the various resources that you may want to use during the run-up of your interview preparation. Before I begin, let me apologise for not posting this video closer to the last one. I fell sick unfortunately just before Christmas, and there was a lot of uncertainty about when I was going back to uni with the lockdown. I know I had an exam the other day, so unfortunately YouTube took a bit of a backseat, but hopefully I'll be posting a bit more regularly now once things are a bit clearer. So anyway, why we're recommending podcasts, books, TV programs for interview preparation? So for two reasons really. Firstly, by reading books, listening to podcasts and watching TV programs, this allows you to develop a much more rounded view about the big issues in medicine and what life as a doctor actually entails. It means at interview you can substantiate and justify your points by saying from reading book X or listening to podcast Y, I was able to get an idea of blah blah blah. It just gives you a bit more credibility when you're talking to an interviewer. Secondly, by using these different resources, it will show to the interviewer that you have a genuine interest in medicine, so much so you are giving up your free time to read, listen and watch these resources. And at the end of the day, that is essentially what the interviewer is looking for. They want to see if you have a genuine interest and passion to study medicine and make the most out of the degree. So this video I'll be looking at books. Books can be a bit more taxing to use in comparison to podcasts and TV programs, as you may actually have to concentrate while you read them. But regardless, it still has a lot of useful information. And something I'd also really recommend is having sort of like a reflection diary. Like whenever you listen to a podcast or watch a TV program or read a book, jot down a few ideas you got from that book and your reflections on it. It just allows you to gather up your points and your ideas before you actually go to the interview itself, instead of just frantically thinking about it on the spot in the interview. I haven't read all these books, from cover to cover. Some of them have been recommended, some of them I've read excerpts about, but I will list them and talk a wee bit about them here in this video. So the first book I'd really recommend is Your Life in My Hands by Dr. Clarke. It's a really poignant book on her experience as a junior doctor, and she discusses the emotional impact of her job, as well as the drawbacks and despite how great and amazing the NHS is. It is really impactful account of life in the NHS, and she not only just discusses the drawbacks of life as a doctor, but she discusses the honour and the sort of satisfaction she felt by being in this profession. She really delves into the human side of medicine, and she also discusses the mid-staffs crisis, the mid-Staffordshire Hospital Trust crisis. And this is a key scandal to be aware of in ethics questions, and this crisis was definitely a turning point for the NHS. So, and the next book I really recommend is When Breath Becomes Air, by Dr. Kalanithi, I think. It's a very touching book about Dr. Kalanithi, who is on the brink of qualifying as a neurosurgeon when he finds out he has stomach cancer. The book talks about his journey through his illness, and I haven't read the book fully yet, but I got it for Christmas, so hopefully I will get around it soon. I've heard some really good reports and reviews about this book, so I really recommend it. More Doctor as well, a book which I thoroughly loved, by Mr. David Nott. It's a memoir about his experiences as a surgeon volunteering in different organisations such as the MSF, the British Red Cross and the RAF. It's a really emotional book as he discusses about the inspiring and devastating encounters he's had in war-struck countries. And I definitely felt this book made me appreciate how lucky we are in the UK to have the NHS and how fortunate we are to access high quality healthcare. It's a really powerful book, and I really would recommend it to get an insight as well on medicine in a completely different environment. Trust Me, I'm a Junior Doctor by Dr. Max Pemberton is really interesting book, as he talks about his experiences as an FY1, FY2 doctor. It's a bit outdated perhaps, but his feelings are very much genuine. It's a really brilliant book to read as a prospective student to get an insight of what life is really like as a newly qualified doctor, which hopefully you'll get to experience down the line. It's both funny and really thought-provoking, and I really recommend it to read. This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay is very similar to Trust Me, I'm a Junior Doctor, but it's a lot more funnier in my opinion. Adam Kay talks about the highs and lows of life as a junior doctor, right from FY1 to senior registrar. He talks about also the experiences which caused him to want to leave medicine, and I think that's also important to be aware about. There's some people who do leave the medicine profession, and it's important to be aware of this. And I'd highly recommend reading this before applying, as he doesn't seem to hide anything at all about his experience, and I'll let you take that as you will. The Naked Surgeon by Mr. Samir Nashif is an excellent book about the statistics in surgery and how easily statistics can be manipulated. This doesn't just apply to surgery. Statistics is used in all branches of medicine. So I'd really recommend this, especially given the COVID-19 pandemic. Stats is all over the news, and I think it's worth reading to see that numbers don't always show what you think they mean. He also discusses in the book about fascinating cases he's encountered and personal accounts of his experiences as a cardiothoracic surgeon. Band-Aid for a Broken Leg by Dr. Damien is also similar to War Doctor by Mr. David Nott. It's a fantastic read as he discusses how different healthcare is in a less developed country as he volunteers with the MSF. And he also compares this quite well to his home country, Australia. The level of emotional resilience required to deal with that role really struck me. And as I said, it's also useful to read about medicine in different parts of the world, because you can then try and relate it to the NHS, which is also really good thing to mention in interviews if the opportunity arises, to show that you have that level of understanding. I also think this was one of the first books I read, the first medical books I read a fair few years ago, and it still resonates with me today, so I really would recommend it. The Medic Portal as well recommends this book called The Children Act by Ian Mcgoon, which I'm yet to read. The book is about a boy approaching his 18th birthday, and he is refusing life-saving blood transfusion due to his religious beliefs as a Jehovah's Witness. Fiona May, a highly respected High Court judge, reviews his case while she's tackling her own personal issues. It provides a really good sort of understanding and foundation of medical law and ethics, and hopefully provides you with different perspectives when dealing with ethics questions in medical interviews. As I said, I haven't read this book yet, but it seems to have had really good reviews. A few other books on my list are by Dr. Atul Gawande. I've read his book, The Checklist, and I'd recommend reading Being Mortal and Better and Complications as well. He's also authored. He's very smart, very respected surgeon, and heard really good things about his books. Bad Pharma by Ben Goldacre is another book which comes on medical reading lists, along with Do No Harm by Mr. Henry Marsh and Direct Read by Miss Gabriel Weston. I haven't read any of those books yet, but again, I've heard really good things about them. And as you can see, there are loads of books out there about medicine, and quite a few I still have to read. I would definitely encourage you to do some research yourself on the books that I've suggested and the ones that I haven't suggested, and choose a couple to read. If you are watching this as a prospective medical student in lower sixth, then the books, podcasts, TV programs I've recommended in this video and other videos would be really good basis you could look at when starting on your personal statement preparation. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully I'll be posting soon. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Please follow at The Inside Scan on Twitter and Instagram. Very best of luck with your applications and interviews.